Hi everyone, it's Saren. It's Friday, January 13th, woo woo woo, 2017, and I have a letter here from Schaeffer Cox. So I'm just going to read it. It says it's dated January 6th, so it looks like or 5th, I'm not sure. It looks like we're getting them pretty quick here. It says, Dear Kaylene, I got your very nice card about trying to get a wrongful conviction advocacy group to take up my case. Thank you so much for going to bat for me. It's sweet and touching. I've attached a copy of a press release that may help clarify things. Also, you are free to share my direct appeal brief off of Pacer. Just remember that the truth never came out at trial, so the appeal is only working with the official lies. Rudy Davis has done more than anyone else so far to put the truth on YouTube using the FBI's own recordings. As far as your British friend's concerns go, I'm glad he's showing wisdom and being selective in who he supports. I respect him for that. It's a good trait. But I can also assure him that I am a safe and worthy man to support. I am not in prison for doing bad things. I'm in prison for telling powerful people not to. That's a noble reason to be behind bars. On the so-called sovereign citizen, quote, stuff, I don't have any kooky ideas. In fact, I think a lot of the theories going around out there are put into circulation by the FBI just to get patriots to spin their tires and burn themselves out on fake solutions to real problems. So here's what I believe from my own mouth. Government exists to be the servant of the people, and it can't do anything without the people's permission. That's what's morally corrupt. But the feds believe the total opposite. They believe that people exist to be the servant of the government, and that they can't do anything without the government's permission. The feds are wrong, but they're getting their way regardless. I also believe that people can't delegate to a government the power to do things that we as individuals don't possess a right to do. For example, I can't delegate to a government the power to defend my home from robbers using force. This is because I myself have a natural right to defend my home. But what I can't do is delegate to a government the power to go into my neighbor's home and rob him at gunpoint to build me a public library or whatever. This is because I have no natural right to rob my neighbor, even if it is for what I think is a good cause. I couldn't have delegated to a government power which I can't possess in the first place. So, if they are exercising aggressive powers, they are doing it on their own as thugs, not as an extension of people and their natural rights. Take my case as an example. Is there any man or woman in the world who can point the finger at me and say, "You did me wrong. I therefore want the government to punish you for me"? No, there's not. Think how silly it would sound if my neighbor tried to make the case the government made. If one man pointed the finger at me and said, "I think someday, 20 or 30 years from now, Schaeffer is going to attack me and kill me. If he's strong enough, and if he thinks I'm out to kill him, and if he can find a friend to help him do it, and if he doesn't like it in Switzerland and just decide to stay there after he's done raising his kids there, which is his only plan right now. So, based on this, Your Honor, we want you to lock Schaeffer up, lock him up for 27 years in prison." If my neighbor said this, we would all agree it was laughable nonsense. But it is no less absurd when the government does it. It's just that people fall under the government's spell, and allow themselves to accept non-logic simply because they are mesmerized by its source. We've all been fooled and exploited, and it's humiliating to admit it. But that's our only hope. We don't even live in free countries anymore. We're all slaves who don't even know it. Think about this. In a free country, you get dragged into court for a crime of injury against your neighbor. In a not free country, you get dragged into court for a crime of disobedience against your government. What kind of country do you live in? Now, there is no point in even talking about how to get rid of slavery until we all know what slavery is, and that we're all slaves. And any attempts to overthrow the masters, violent or otherwise, would only make things 10 times worse. So I'm against it. And you can hear me explaining the same logic on the FBI undercover tapes 7 years ago when I thought no one was listening. So you know I am truly meaning it. I truly meant it. I truly mean it. Here's the key fact. One group of masters doesn't make a nation of men their slaves. A nation of slaves makes one group of men their masters. The problem is us. We think like slaves. We act like slaves. We live and die like slaves. It's so deep in our minds that we don't even need real chains, and we love our masters because we love our slavery and the irresponsible life it affords us. If we free people's minds, we won't have to contend with the masters. They'll just dissipate naturally without even a fight. My only objective is to help my fellow man recover from slave think. The rest will work itself out. I am not violent. I didn't commit any crimes. I just figured out the racket and have a natural talent for waking people up hundreds or thousands at a time. As to the gun charges, all of the arms I owned were totally legal. The ATF even said so, but the judge struck it out of the record. I was just a prop in a propaganda show for the slaves. I'm not going to tell you how to run your wrongfully convicted advocacy group, but if you base your decisions about who to support off the propaganda the government puts out on their victims, you will only support the people the government wants you to support. I doubt that's your goal. I would like the support of your group. You have my word as a man of honor that I haven't done anything morally wrong, and that coincidentally I also haven't done anything illegal. Even though I have no respect for the masters or their make-believe rules, it just worked out that way. My word is worth more than all the spin and propaganda of all the cryptocrats and judges in America. They survive by deceit. I don't. Listen to your heart. It will tell you I'm right. I hope you sponsor me. Smiles, Schaeffer Cox. Now, this is a press release. I'll read that separately. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Good night.